Hello everybody, welcome to today's Knife 911. Today we're going to talk about the Chris Reeve Inkosi. The 911 on this guy is that it's a Chris Reeve knife. Chris Reeve is one of the elder statesmen of the knife community. He's been around for about 25 years in the US, maybe a little more at this point. And he's been making basically the same knife ever since, in the same steel. It's a 3.5-inch, super high quality EDC folder. That's really the sum of the 911 on this guy. Getting a little bit deeper into the weeds, we'll go into the intake. Right. Being one of the elder statesmen of the super high quality EDC folder market, BHQ has teamed with him to release this carbon fiber and blue anno version with these nicely dark polished flats. It certainly is well finished as, a sheer Grove Neon or a Koenig Arius or some of those things, but it just has fewer niceties. It's as if someone didn't agonize over all the little details to quite the same degree as Bill Koenig did with the Arius. It has the same sort of bank vault-like lockup, right, where this thing is not going anywhere. And it has the same hydraulic feeling where there is zero play at any stage in this opening. Zero play. There's nothing moving around here except that sweep out. And it creates this sort of hydraulic feeling that these Chris Reeve knives are known for. And that bank vault-like lockup is certainly there. And I expect that from knives north of about $350. The titanium flats here have a kind of dark polish to them that I mentioned, which is really nice. They're a couple shades darker than the stone wash of the blade itself. And it's a nice little contrast. And it allows you to, get some good chatoyance off the carbon fiber here, and it just plays nicely with the rest of the knife. So, unlike the knives with bead blasted titanium, of which there's a little bit here, this clip and the lock bar bead blasted titanium, unlike those knives, it looks like it actually might be worth $600 or so. And I gotta say here, the blade on this thing is the real star of the show. This is an incredible blade. It is one of the best in the business, no question about it. From the profiling to the finishing to the hollow grind, where the actual thinnest point of the hollow grind is, about 100,000ths of an inch up past the blade edge to give you room to sharpen over time. Right? There's just very, very, very few better executed drop point blades in the business. And Chris Reeve tends to run their S35 VN at a higher heat treat. They're running their steel a bit harder and a bit tougher than really anybody else with their S35 VN. And this might just be my impression from having sharpened these guys, but it is definitely harder to sharpen a Chris Reeve S35 VN blade than it is a Spyderco or We Knives S35 VN. They just heat treat differently. And the Chris Reeve heat treat is really considerably better. So this knife has an interesting little feature. The Reeve Integral lock, after Chris Reeve himself, is, you can see right here, I'm not sure if the camera will pick this up, but you can see right here there's a little detent ball which has been moved all the way out to the end of the lock face. That's the only thing contacting the blade lobe. Now for the end user, there's really no functional difference here for the end user. And this sort of gets into my gripes about Chris Reeve knives, is that as far as the end user is concerned, this is basically a Sebenza. The differences between this knife and the Sebenza are too pedantic to really justify a new model. And, they could have just made the same changes and kept the name, and I really don't think anybody would have been that upset. And if you want other steels like maybe S30 or S90 or S125 or no, is Chris Reeve's answer. No. Flat no. Just no. Spelled N-O, meaning no, pronounced no. And that's really kind of disappointing to me, because knives like these with significant design changes, better flickability, and better thumb studs, because that's one of the real gripes I have about every Chris Reeve Chris Reeve knife is that this thumb stud just is not comfortable. Those evolutionary changes, different steels, better mechanisms would, to me, be instant buys, but Chris Reeve is all no. So, one of the things that I really like about Chris Reeve knives is that they all come with their own disassembly tools. They want you to take them apart and maintain them, which is a nice thing. And this guy came with 2 wrenches because this is a double-sided pivot, not one, in this size, and a wrench in this size. And so it was nice to see that they just covered all those little details and eventualities. This pocket clip, though, this thing, I mean, sure, it works, but it's far from the best clips on the market. And it certainly doesn't really work with the rest of the knife. It really does clash a bit. I don't understand why they couldn't polish the rest of this. I understand why they can't polish a clip, but I don't understand why they couldn't polish the lock bar face. Right? And just, as a point of mentioning it, Millet Knives makes a ton of money doing nothing but making replacement clips for Chris Reeve knives. There might be a lesson in there somewhere. So my dispatch on this guy is that if you want one of these things, the blade is undeniably the star of the show here. Just in every way possible, it's just a terrific blade for just about anything you have in mind. And it's been the same, really, since the 90s. So, given that, it's really not worth spending the extra $200 or $150 for inlays and carbon fiber and polishing. Get the plain Jane version. That's where the value is, because you get the same blade. And, come on, CRK. New products, please. Significantly new products, please. And materials. All right, that's today's Knife 911. Signing off.